Well, good evening. This is slightly awkward. So the technology that was meant to be bringing Mia onto this conversation hasn't quite worked. So anyway, welcome to the Gaming Podcast Live. My name's Robin. I'm the founder of Gaming Magazine. We're here, as always, every 2 weeks to talk about gaming, stories, news, and gossip with special guests. Don't forget, you can keep up with all the latest news and features from Gaming Magazine by visiting us at gamingnmag.com. Stand by, everyone. We're here.
Hello. I can't hear anything. I'm not sure why. Hold on.
Okay, cool. I'm going to keep talking for the sake of the podcast.
There we go. Okay, I'm here.
Alone. So I'll be joined every episode by the awesome Mia. Hello.
Hello there. Hello. How are you? Welcome.
I'm shitting a brick, to be honest with you.
I'm stressed. So apparently, the link that I was using to try and get into the call was last week's link, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working.
Not my fault. That's not my fault.
Yeah, that's completely my fault. I just raided into the stream. So yeah, that's the whole thing. Hi, everybody. My name is Mia, otherwise known as Mia Byte, and I'm so happy to be here with you all once again. How have you been, Robin?
Thanks. Good. Pretty good.
Good.
I was out this afternoon celebrating a local business's 10th birthday, quite amazingly, on our high street.
Oh, that's very cool. Very nice.
So nice sort of drinks and socialization.
I just had a hectic last dungeon run in Final Fantasy 14, and I was literally like screaming, "We got to finish now! We've got to finish now! I'm going to be late to the podcast! Oh my god!" And yeah, we did it. Fortunately, but just not in time. Yeah, the whole team wiped like 2 minutes before we were supposed to have been here, so that was a whole ordeal. Yeah. But yeah. Just as a quick reminder, for those of you joining us live, you can interact both with the podcast here in Twitch chat, because this is live, as we always manage to prove every single week. This is a live show. You can interact with us in the Twitch chat and on the Gaming Magazine Discord at gamingnmag.com/Discord. But again, I have not met this particular super special guest yet, because we're going to have a super special guest this week, as we always do. So this is the first time I'm meeting them too. Please welcome, all the way from CheckpointXP, the fabulous Chadd Callahan.
Hey, Chadd.
Hello.
I still need like an applause button. Hold on.
I'll do it.
That works.
I like that better. I was gonna do like the in the mic, but like that's so much better.
That works too. I'll make sure we get applause for next time.
There you go.
Yeah. How are you doing today, Chadd?
I'm doing good. How are you guys? I'm so excited to be on here.
Yeah,
stressed.
We're good.
I'm good, but stressed. Mostly stressed.
Are you stressed? Like, so you said you played Final Fantasy 14, which is pretty much how, funny enough, Checkpoint got started because of Final Fantasy, 11 technically, but we'll say 14 to make it less old sounding.
More relevant to the times. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's awesome. Yeah. I'm not sure how much Final Fantasy 14 you've played.
I am more of the novice. I went for the Cat Boys. I'm super excited for the Twink Bunnies.
Everybody loves the Cat Boys and the Twink Bunnies.
Yes, they might win me back. I haven't played in a hot minute, but like
you should jump back in. It's getting incredibly popular right now.
Well, especially with the new DLC coming out soon. So
the expansion Endwalker is out in November, I believe. There's early access towards the end of September, maybe something like that. But that's going to be a lot of fun anyway. So yeah, doing a lot of cool, good stuff at the moment. Speaking of cool, good stuff we've been getting up to, we have the weekly recap, which is all the games that we've been playing recently. But I'd love to hear what you've been up to, Robin.
Yeah, so absolutely. So I've been playing Flight Simulator.
I thought you were going to say Final Fantasy 14 for a second, then I was gonna be hype and like, you can do it. Yes.
No. I spent like 3 days downloading 120 odd gigabytes worth of Flight Simulator.
That's a big old game.
Yeah, and for an Xbox Series S, that's like half the hard drive. So it was like,
oh yeah, because it's on Xbox now.
They sort of fuck off half the games that are on my hard drive to try and get it in. But yeah, no, the whole point was obviously it was literally came out on Flight Simulator on Game Pass. So anybody that has the wonderful magical Game Pass can go and help themselves to Flight Simulator, and it is stunning. I mean, playing it on an Xbox controller, possibly not. Like, I might want to actually, if I get into it, I might invest in the old joystick and
Oh,
throttle
you get
thing.
to go old school, get the
Yeah,
the true
yeah.
system.
Purely because I nearly turned it off and ended my play there because I was literally from the takeoff. They were like, pull back on the throttle, so I pulled back. No, you pulled back too far. And like you're talking when they say pull it back, it's probably like a little twitch of the thumb back rather than an actual kind of drag back on the thing. So
Oh, yeah,
it's
that'd be annoying.
really, really delicate.
Is Flight Simulator the game that has like real time flight activity going on? Okay, I want to make sure because that part is probably
genius.
90% of what you just downloaded, to be perfectly honest.
Pretty much. Although most of it is gone.
I was just going to ask, what makes that fun though? Because I look at that game and I don't specifically feel like it would be fun. What makes that experience fun?
It's clever because, as Chadd said, that when you boot it up, you can sort of you have one or two options. That the first option is you want to play in what do they call it? Non-real world or something, which is kind of like their own rendering and their own kind of versions of the world. Or you play in the real world, which it uses live internet sort of data to pull what's Microsoft version of Google Maps, Bing something or other probably, but they use like 3D renderings of buildings and stuff live actually off of their service. And also it uses flight tracking to sort of put planes in the sky. It uses weather tracking to change the weather and stuff wherever you are in the world. I don't know. I play these things for like 30 minutes or whatever. I think this is fantastic, and then it will just sit on my hard drive, and then I'll end up deleting it. It's like Sea of Thieves that I said I played last time. I did for about an hour, bored, turned it off, threw it in the bin. It's I know a lot of people. A quick shout out, obviously, to Biggest Bennis, a fantastic streamer who this week, as part of our DigiPride Let's Streams, actually streamed 2 hours worth of Flight Simulator. But that's his thing. He enjoys Flight Simulator. He actually does a podcast. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But it's literally he podcasts with a guest while they fly to a destination.
That's
in Flight
cool.
Simulator, which is
super interesting.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That's very fun.
And if he doesn't put in the sort of like sound effects, like the old bong when the seatbelt sign comes on and all this sort of stuff, he's missed the trick. But I don't know. I quite like simulators. I quite like simulation games. They're fun. I will freely admit to, and I'm probably going to have to revoke every cool card I ever own.
No, because the Power Wash Simulator right now is doing hyper well, and it's for some stupid reason is the most satisfying thing to watch. Like if you play that game and you don't find some satisfaction, you're probably some sadist. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen gameplay of that. It looks amazing. Like you're just literally like getting rid of stuff.
You're spraying. It's it. 100% of the game. It's great. I don't understand.
Clean up everything. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's I think it's really cool, and I think it's I played Train Simulator for a little bit as well. Okay, shoot me down, please call me a geek, whatever. But that was interesting again for maybe an hour, and then sort of jumping ahead actually to games that are coming out that I'm looking forward to. Stray's out very soon, which is kind of like a cat simulator game in a way.
I was just watching the trailer. It looks so good. It
looks really good. As someone that's not a massive fan of cats, like
what do you mean cat simulator? Explain. I've not seen this. Explain more to me.
You've not seen Stray? You've not heard about it? Okay,
no, I've not seen this.
Essentially, Stray is kind of I'm going to say open world because I'm not 100% sure, but it's kind of an open world puzzle RPG where you play as this stray cat that like gets lost in this new world, separated from his family. I think you're injured a bit and you have to like get back to your family essentially in a big foreign city. Yeah.
Is that the one that they announced at E3 and it was like all like kind of neon-y dark alleyways? That's cool. Yeah.
It looks like as weird as it sounds. Like I just saw the trailer for it and like first, cats, adorable, love it, and second off, like it just looks good. Like it sounds like it wouldn't work, but you see the gameplay and you're like, I want to play that. I want to get my hands on that.
It does look fun. So it's like simulation, Flight Simulator. What else have I been doing? Not much more from a gameplay point of view, I'll be honest, because life busy. But I'm also going to mention our DigiPride stuff. We had a fantastic stream this past week from the Stream Queens. It was a fantastic panel that we had with 5 of the wonderful Stream Queens talking about drag streaming and the history of the team and the future of where things might be going and getting back out into the real world and that sort of stuff. And so that's now available to watch. You can watch it here on Twitch as a VOD, or you can go to our YouTube channel where you can watch that back as well. That was a fun conversation. Just a quick shout out while we're talking about all this. We still have our competitions going on. So gamemag.com/competitions. We have an Xbox Series S to give away if you live in the UK and Ireland. If you don't, sorry. We also have some other fantastic competitions. It's sold out, and Sega. So you can come and enter a Sega competition that gives you a pack of their Sonic merch, their Sonic birthday merch, and also a Steam card, which unlocks every single Sega game they've ever made in their library. So that's 760 odd games that are available right now if you go to gamemag.com/competitions. What's coming up in August, annoyingly, is the 1st of August, and I can't talk about the one big thing that's coming up in the middle of August for DigiPride, but it's coming. News will be breaking this week about something related to one of our sponsors that hasn't been seen yet. So,
okay. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Something to do with Wizards. And so there's that. We've got another panel coming up at the end of August with queer games makers and some more Let's Play streams. I think we've got a stream of the Guns, Love and Tentacles, the Gay Marriage DLC from Borderlands, and we've got another one from Kiwi as well at the end of the month, which is the super cute mailroom bird simulator where you have to sort of jump around a keyboard and sort of press keys. It's a big co-op game. It's really fun. So that's really fun.
That looks really cute, that one. I'll have to check that gameplay out.
It does look cute. I think that's me. I think that's it. And that's all my kind of... I feel like I've recapped my weekly.
Nice.
What about you, Mia?
Well, I've been up to all sorts. I'm not sure if we talked about like Skyward Sword on the last show, but I definitely jumped back into that. The controls on... okay, so they've remastered it for the Switch. They popped it on the Switch, and you can use the Joy-Cons to play it like you would on the Wii, or you can use the controller. So you can use like the Pro controller.
There you go.
And they have made it so in order to use the motion-controlled sword, which in the regular game you would literally just waggle around the Joy-Con for, and it would detect the direction that you're doing it. It's now like assigned to this joystick. Which is a bit of an issue because for doing finishes and stuff, instead of just like hitting it in a certain direction or holding it for a amount of time, it wants you to like flick it in one direction, then flick it back in another direction. And it's got like different button combinations for having to just perform moves with that. And it just makes it so much more difficult to use the joypad on that than actually just using the Joy-Cons, using the Pro controller. So I was like, okay, I'm switching to the Pro controller because this is hot garbage with Skyward Sword HD. I'm not going to pull my punches. I love Nintendo. I love Zelda. Zelda's one of my favorite franchises, but the controls on the Pro controller are hot garbage. Definitely use the Joy-Cons, but it's fun. I had fun with it. It's Skyward Sword again, and it's not really an experience that I want right now, so I only really played the start to check out how it had been updated, what they've done to it. It's not that impressive, to be honest. It kind of looks like they just up-resed it slightly and slapped it on a Switch. Like they didn't really do much texture work by the looks of it, except for like the main characters. Because the characters look good, but the environment around them look really not great. Like the textures kind of like seem a bit blurred and muddy, which is kind of odd. Because you think they put a little bit more care into that, because they put a lot of care into the Wind Waker remake and I'm not sure, I never played the Twilight Princess one, but at least the Wind Waker one looked really good, and maybe the art style kind of like helped with that, but Skyward Sword just looked not great. If you want to play Skyward Sword on the Switch, pick it up, but other than that, don't bother, really. I don't think it's worth it. And this is from me. Nintendo gave me a copy of the game to try out. Sorry, Nintendo. I didn't really like it all that much. I apologize. Other than that, we did our Fall Guys tournament for DigiPride with Transmission Gaming, which I think went fantastically. We
Really
raised
well.
over
Yep.
$3,000 for charity in the space of 2 hours, which was great. For the Trevor project, that was absolutely fantastic. We had so many trans content creators and streamers being involved in that, which was wonderful. One team kind of ran away with the win. I didn't play it myself, but one team definitely ran away with the win because we found out like halfway through that one of the people on that team was actually had clocked probably like 470 plus hours in Fall Guys, so they knew exactly what they were doing. But yeah, that was a bunch of fun to see everyone get absolutely decimated and to just turn on this one particular team for just being too good. So that was absolutely fantastic. Other than that, I played this really, really cool game that I was sponsored to play called Lemniscape, which was a strategic turn-based first-person shooter. That's going to sound really weird, but essentially what it is, it's kind of like a weird time travel thing where you play the same 25 seconds back to back, take it in turns over and over again, with a limited number of goes. So on your first round, you're sent out there, you do all your own first-person stuff. The other player that you're playing against doesn't get to do anything during this time. So you're out there, you can say, take a guy with a rocket launcher and you capture a couple points. And then it switches to their turn. In that same 25 seconds, they play that same 25 seconds again. And then they can do stuff that counters or stops your characters from doing the stuff that they were doing. It's all very timey-wimey because they can kill you with a sniper rifle before you even get a chance to fire and capture a point. And it kind of all like goes back and forth, playing that same 25 seconds over and over again, where you're kind of just like trying to counter what other people are doing and predicting what they're going to do. So you have more defensive units and more offensive units that you can play as. It's kind of like a hero shooter as well, but it's really difficult to explain without being able to show gameplay, because you're playing that same 25 seconds and it just stacks on top of each other. And what starts as being very, very simple soon becomes incredibly chaotic as you try and both capture points or prevent the other team from being able to stop you from capturing stuff. So, for instance, if you die during a round, your ghost can continue on during that 25 seconds and still do stuff, with the idea that if you can stop that death from occurring in a future round, that character will still be able to go through and do the things that you'd set it up to do before it had chance to die. It's very confusing.
That's very strategic.
Yeah, it's very strategic. They said it was like chess.
Nice light-hearted game then. Okay.
Yeah. Which it was ridiculous. It was a lot of fun though. I played with friends and I team killed a little bit too much by accident because I shouldn't be allowed a rocket launcher. But yeah, that was fun. Other than that, I've been doing a lot of Final Fantasy 14. We still have the promotion going on where if you use gifted subs in the channel, you get access to that fat black chocobo. That's been great. Just been playing through the Shadowbringers main storyline, which has been absolutely fantastic. It's been so much fun. Everybody seems to love that particular story, and I'd say that's probably because it's the most like a Zelda game in terms of structure out of any of the expansions for that game. So definitely worth playing, and I think the game has received like a massive surge in popularity at the moment. One of the big World of Warcraft streamers, Asmongold, has decided to not quit WoW, but basically went over to Final Fantasy 14, and that just brought a surge of users with them. And it's been hectic. The servers went down the other day, and I was in like a 2-hour queue to get back in. I had to give up on it after a while, just because there's just like it's getting extremely popular, and the bubble is kind of bursting in terms of like that insular community that was there. So it's been really interesting to see how that's been going down. And we'll see how that goes over the next couple of months up until the next expansion comes out.
Yeah.
Other than that, next week I've got my Streamiversary coming up. I'll have been on the platform for 5 years on Twitch, which is super, super exciting. We're doing a Try Not to Laugh challenge, a glamour competition in Final Fantasy 14 on the Sagatanas world server in Aether, if you want to come along to that. That's Wednesday. And just going to be doing some stuff with industry friends. But that's what I've been up to and what I'm going to be getting up to.
Question.
Yes.
What is a glamour competition?
Oh,
in Final
okay.
Fantasy
So,
14?
it's basically
I'm imagining
transmog.
it like a RuPaul's Drag Race runway, kind of like work the
Kind
runway.
of,
And,
yeah.
okay.
So
Not
I put
wrong.
out a little promotional video on my Twitter for this, and it's this really crazy, cute kind of weird thing that but you'll have to go and see it. You'll have to go and take a look. I'll grab it for the chat later. But a glamour essentially is just transmog in the game. So you can take any outfit, you can combine stuff together, and then you can just change your look into that outfit. But you also have access to like dyes and metallic dyes and different ways of just customizing your character. So that's basically just glamour. So yeah, next Wednesday we're just going to be holding again like an America's Next Top Model style competition, where I'm going to just be judging people's glamour with a bunch of friendos. We've actually got a catwalk in the game that we're going to be sending people down, and people can win prizes. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's everything I've been up to. Chadd, what have you been up to this recently?
Compared to you guys, I feel like I've done nothing. It sounds like you guys are so busy, but really a lot of the stuff I've been playing is I'm kind of like I stick to, at least when I stream a lot, mostly the horror genre. So like a lot of Dead by Daylight, obviously. It's the gay game of choice outside of Final Fantasy.
It feels like everybody plays Dead by Daylight. If you're queer, you're there.
I even had a chance. We had a chance to sit down with Matthew Cote, who's the game director, and
Oh,
I
damn.
asked him.
Nice.
I asked him if he knew how many gay people and LGBTQ people played the game, and he's like, he kind of like went around it, like he knew, because like pretty much right after that they had all these kind of LGBT kind of things happening in the background. So I think he didn't want to allude to that, but so it's kind of crazy how they know their audience so well and they cater to them, because I always applaud them. Like I feel like I'm the poster child for Dead by Daylight, because I'm always applauding how they handle everything that they do, especially when it comes to their community. And sure, they might have misses here and there, but it's very rarely like big enough for it to be like, oh, that's I don't want to play this for a while or whatever. But a lot of Dead by Daylight, obviously, and not recently, but like I regularly like to get back into Phasmophobia. So I don't know if you guys played that one, but I guess there's this huge rehaul of the game coming, and I'm stoked.
Oh, is there?
Yeah,
I hadn't heard about this.
Yeah, they're like apparently rebuilding it from the ground up and like making it like, it's a glitch fest. I will admit wholeheartedly that game is a glitch fest, but it's fun. Like
it's a little bit janky, but it's fun jank. So
exactly. So I hear that they're doing a huge rehaul in the next update. So I don't know. It's very exciting to play that. So and I play with a lot of our Checkpoint and previous Checkpoint members as well. So that's pretty much it. And we recently got into Chris Tales and that new indie RPG. I don't know how I feel about it, but we'll see. It's a different art style. So if you like those kind of if you kind of like, I don't know how to compare it to anything, but like Chowder, that animation style that Chowder from Nickelodeon, or not Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network has, or something like that. It's got that weird kind of art style where it looks drawn, like hand drawn, but it like moves fluid. So it's very like strange to the eye, but it's a really cute little JRPG inspired game that has to deal with time and stuff like that. We actually did it for our, getting ahead of myself, but we did it for our recent podcast, and we reviewed it, and so it's so we had fun with that. So all in all, I guess I'll sum it up there. That's pretty much what I've been playing.
Well, you also had a podcast episode on Friday, didn't you, with a certain someone as a guest?
I did. You know what?
Who could that have been?
Ahead of myself, but we did have a podcast on Checkpoint Daily. We had Robin on. And we talked all about gaming podcast. You know what? I'm sad that we ran a little long and we didn't get the chance to talk about the last topic I wanted to talk to you about.
Well, let's talk about it now.
Sure. So I wanted to mention that there's always this question of, and I see it in comments all the time, is like, your sexuality is your entire personality. That comment. And I thought it was, having you on the show at the time, I was like, your brand is literally like that comment in a sense, in a good way. But like, I wanted to see how you guys handled that. Like, how do you differentiate, how do you balance that? Like, you know, gay is the brand versus like, but it is just, you know, one of many things that is you or your brand or what you guys do. Like,
Absolutely. I mean, people, in my view, obviously, this is not I'm not speaking for everybody, but in my view, I think obviously, absolutely, being LGBTQIA plus is not your be all and end all. We all have our personalities. We all have our own kind of motivations and things we do in life. But in this instance, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Like everything that gaming does is fully like hella queer, because that's what we're paid to do, and that's what people want from us. And I think by offering that up to people, people are able to kind of pick into it and kind of pick the bits they want to engage in, and then they can go off and live the rest of their personalities. But we, by sort of definition, are 110% queer, because that's what people need. And I think at the moment, and we'll talk about the sort of sad stuff in a sec, but I think at the moment people need that kind of like reminder that queer people exist. They need that kind of bold statement that we offer, of like, particularly in the games world, of sort of saying there are queer people here, and this is what we do.
I just to chime in, because like I'm as an outsider from Gaming Mag, who's a part of it and was part of the podcast and some of the events. Like, I'm not part of the core team. I've got all my own stuff on my side, but the way I see gaming as a I don't want to say monolith, but as a structure, I'd say it's kind of like the same reasons Pride exists. It's a celebration of everything that's queer within the world of gaming. But not only that, it's here to shed light on all of the, you know, the shittiest stuff that goes on in the gaming industry, as we'll most likely talk about later on in this podcast, with everything that's been going on recently. But yeah, it's here as a celebration and to shine a light on those things that people may not know or may not want to talk about. And it's definitely needed, as, you know, queer gamers in general, or queer people in general, are vastly underrepresented in the gaming industry. I feel like there's a very real need for publications like this, from my personal point of view. Obviously for me, this is always like secondary to what I do. I'm Mia first, and then like trans afterwards, or gay afterwards.
Yeah.
It's just a facet of my particular being, and as individuals I think we're all the same, but it doesn't mean that we can't come together to celebrate queerness and celebrate, you know, the wonderful things that we can do together, and the push for change.
Yeah, because you as a streamer, Mia, like, because you see yourself as an individual, and you know, and when I stream, like, I try to see myself as an individual, but like, you know, I make the jokes and things like that that relate to my sexuality and things like that.
Mhm.
So, but and you know, gaming mag aside, do you think? Do you feel weird when you see that comment? Do you feel like, do you get that comment? I guess I should ask first, because I get it, you know, more than I care to admit. Like that comment of like, that is your personality, even though I don't feel like it is. But
I mean, it's something I've definitely worried about. It's never been like something that's been put at me directly, but like, because it's something I've actually spoken about on Twitter as well. It's like, I never want to use, like, you know, the fact that I'm queer, or the fact that I'm trans to you know, get my foot in the door anywhere, and I've been worried about that in the past, and people judging me because of it. But at the same time, again, I remind myself that it's so much harder as a queer content creator in order to get anywhere. And the fact that somebody would say, you know, that's your whole personality, and you're like, you could be using it to get somewhere, it is it is ridiculous that somebody would kind of say that, because like, we're essentially putting ourselves at a disadvantage just by being who we are online and on these platforms. So it's like, yeah, it may be part of my personality, because, you know, it's something that I want to celebrate, and it's something that I'm part of, and I can't just remove it from my personality. But it's not as if I'm doing this to gain anything on anybody else. Like, queer people struggle in most industries. So yeah, it's literally just, I don't really give a crap about people saying that.
yeah,
Like for lack of a better word, you might want to bleep this out, Robin, but they can go and fuck themselves. So yeah. Yeah,
That's all right. I've said fuck twice already on the podcast.
Okay, cool.
There we
It's
go.
all good. We're all good.
I guess.
No,
Go ahead.
it's sorry. Just I think it's situational. That's the point.
Yeah.
It's not a case of like your only personality is being queer. I'm not. I don't go to the store and buy a loaf of bread, but I do it like in an extra special gay way. I might do occasionally.
I mean, I have once and twice.
But when people interact with you in certain scenarios like this, or of course we're going to be talking about gay stuff. It's the Gaming Magazine podcast. Like if people watch this in isolation and they go, "Oh my god, they're just gays talking about gay things," and it's like, yes, in this instance we are.
Yeah.
But walking to the store, that's not being gay necessarily. Putting the washing on, doing the laundry, whatever. That all of those sort of things, like they happen every day. We do these things. I run a mildly successful business, and I think all of that's not necessarily done in a gay way. It's just done in a good way. And I think when you put stuff out there, or you exist in the world, or in your case, Chadd, if like as a sort of streamer / writer / producer / everything else, if ever you come to something, people are judging. People have that judgment because you've interacted in it with a certain way. So people's instant assumption is they're coming to you saying, "Oh, you're just being gay," or "This is just your personality." It's like, no, in this instance, I'm responding because you're probably attacking me about something else, or we're talking about an LGBTQIA plus issue. Therefore, of course, I'm going to respond from a certain point of view. But that's not me as a whole. You're just catching me at a moment in time where, yes, I am going to be proudly gay.
Yeah, like exactly, to tag on to the end of that, the people that are watching your stream and coming and say that they've seen like possibly like a couple of minutes of you, especially if they're trolls, they don't know the full picture of Chadd. They don't know how you live in your own life. They don't know how you act with your family members or just in the day to day. And you're being an entertainer. And like obviously in some instances some stereotypes for people being queer and like being like loud and brash can be like a stereotype when it comes to queer people. So of course a lot of people who stream are going to be loud and brash and like hold no bars, so it's kind of, you can't really escape from that really. So again, it's a bullshit argument and doesn't really hold much weight.
And that's why I just thought it was an interesting topic, because it's just something I feel like people get stuck on. They fear it. Like they see that and it like it literally puts them off. I've seen streamers who literally get a comment and like you can tell they read it, and you can tell the moment they read it. And it's just one that I've just wanted to talk about momently, because I feel like my streams, I'm unapologetically, as gay as I want to be, because I feel like there needs to be someone like that. There needs to be someone who's like, we were talking about Lil Nas X before we even started, Robin, and I applaud how he's just unapologetically, himself in any way, shape, or form, and especially because the sexuality gets brought up a lot in media and by his, bunch of Twitter people. But anyway, I love your guys' input on that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and like to tag on to what you just said, like the great thing about being a LGBTQIA plus content creator now is that we get to be the people that we wanted to see when we were young, and we can do that for people now. So again, screw the haters.
Love that.
I'm just gonna unapologetically be yourself.
Exactly. Let's move on to the bite-sized news now. In previous episodes of the bite-sized news, we normally cover light-hearted news content and really fun things. Sadly, it's been an appalling couple of weeks in the games world. As slightly probably an understatement, really. So it's probably worth us spending some time talking about Activision and Blizzard.
Yes,
and all of that. So pin back your ears, everyone, because for the next 15 minutes, it's not going to be pretty. For those of you who don't know, I don't think it's now. I'd be surprised if anybody didn't know, but Activision Blizzard had a lawsuit filed against them in California, which basically alleged an awful lot of impropriety and bullying and sexism and poor treatment of female employees, to such an extent, in one instance, that a female member of staff actually committed suicide while on a work trip because of nudes of her being shared around her male colleagues in the office.
Yeah, and it's somewhat appalling, the behavior that has been like uncovered. Now, I will say allegedly, just to keep us safe from a legal point of view. But this is all in the document that was put out by the state of California in order to get the proceedings started on suing Activision Blizzard. There's so much stuff that has gone down behind the scenes. I think we're highlighting a culture, a frat boy culture of harassment in the workplace, where male workers would get drunk on the job and they would cube crawl, which is them going from workstation to workstation while drunk and hitting on female employees, which is ridiculous in itself that this behavior is allowed to even happen in the first place. But when you think about these kind of like bro environments and the fact that somebody has to be subjected to that from the day to day, it's a little bit ridiculous. But then you start to realize when you look more into this document that it's at all levels in the company, in terms of like the management roles are in charge are also taking part in this same behavior, even to the point where one of the more higher ups, I forget their name exactly. I'll double check momentarily, or maybe I won't say their name for right now. But they had a suite at a hotel legitimately called the Cosby Suite.
Yes,
and those that particular person and a group of individuals would have a group text talking about who they were going to target next, particularly within the company, and try and like have sex with, which is
in the Cosby Suite, where there was actually a photo of Bill Cosby.
Where there's a photo of Bill Cosby. Yeah, and a photo came out of a bunch of that staff literally taking a picture with this portrait of Cosby, and it's
and you're all sitting there. You're all sitting there wondering, but surely HR could crack down on that. Not when one of the head of HR was actually sat in the photo, posing with the picture of Bill Cosby in the Cosby Suite. So we're talking about corruption and wrongdoing all the way up to the top that's being protected, and that's the problem. And I think the issue here is like there are various people that are trying to pass this off. There's like a humongous PR fuck up with when they were releasing kind of like their first pushback against the statement that came out about a week or so ago now, that they basically came out with a kind of like, oh, this was ages ago, all allegedly, blah, 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 blah. And no kind of apology, no kind of recognition, it's completely tone deaf sort of response. And it's just baffling that a company can really accept that. And I think people are very quick to kind of dismiss this as something that happened. Oh, it happened 5 or 6 years ago. It was an old Blizzard thing. It was whatever other excuse. But the problem is those people are still there.
Yeah, a lot of people involved.
The one guy, I forget his name, but he's the senior person from World of Warcraft, and one of the kind of big creators of World of Warcraft. He not only is A, still employed, but B, then in between he had a problematic time. Some of it actually started to come out, and then they kind of snuffed it down. He'd actually written some content and some really troublesome content into World of Warcraft. He'd used kind of like code names and whatever else of stuff that was actually happening relating to real life. Activision kind of then he then took this really mysterious, like, I'm suddenly stepping away from the game for a while, and then got employed somewhere else, and then was brought back again. And it's just beyond me how all of this can happen, and then these people are still employed. Their people are being looked after. And I think that's the problem inherently now.
Yeah.
It's not, if you have a problem, you get rid of people. Or if you have a problem, you root out the problem and you deal with it. But the fact that these people are still in employment says quite a lot about where their priorities are. Particularly in an environment that is difficult enough for women to work in, difficult enough for any minority to work in, because it still has all this sort of frat boy culture of drinking and everything else. And yet women in the industry, they've been saying this for years.
Yeah.
And nobody's listened. And it gets to this level of stupidity that people are going, oh my God, what a surprise. And it's like, no, not a massive surprise at all.
No, I mean, there would not to throw another name into it, but immediately after we started seeing people talk about Ubisoft again and what they were doing there. So this isn't just ActiBliz. This is in gaming. This is something that is going far beyond what we're seeing just in this California suit. Like there's story upon story upon story that just keeps making, like, I keep saying, like, how could it get worse? And then another story comes out and I'm like, well, that's exactly how it gets worse. Just that right there.
Sadly, how it gets worse is that the wheels keep turning, and they still, even now, they still can't get it right, because we've had, and we'll come back to it in just a second, but I think that there's been a staff and player walkout that happened last week as a big sort of big protest. And so it's kind of like an unofficial kind of like unionizing of gathering everyone together to sort of stand up to the bosses, etc. There's open letters being signed with hundreds of thousands of people signing it, or thousands of people signing it, of like current and past employees. But then Activision Blizzard decide, okay, so we need a third party to come in. We want to get them. We need a legal firm to come and review all of our structures and sort it all out. Okay, great, good move. And they bring in a legal team who are famous for being union busters. They went into Amazon and prevented Amazon from unionizing. They went into somewhere else and prevented them from unionizing. And it's like, Jesus Christ, can we not just, like, how many warnings do you need? It's just beyond me. It really is.
It makes you wonder, like, if they saw the tea leaves here and were like, okay, well, there's probably a union coming soon. We should, nip it in the bud before it even gets even thought about or talked about.
Which is just the only way to solve all of this as a kind of like solution, I suppose, is they need a review of every single manager or every single senior person that had any kind of awareness of this, and then fire them. That's it. That's literally the only thing you can do. But the problem is then, and it doesn't stop there, is that there are countless more examples of this, where people sort of like get fired from a company or leave or quit or whatever, and then give it 5 years, they've suddenly got a cushy directorship somewhere else. And we seem to have all forgotten this.
Yeah, or they're just sitting on their mountain of money already and just like, oh, I'll just buy. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like Five Nights at Freddy's said the creator of that said some stuff not too long ago, and he was like, you know what, I'll just step away. Instead of doing anything, he just stepped away. So it goes far beyond these companies. It's everywhere. Gaming needs to take a real look at itself. Gaming, esports, all of it needs to take a real look at themselves and decide what the next step is for, because everyone's talking about diversity, inclusion, and stuff like that, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not necessarily seeing it.
It's only when it really counts for them. Again, we go back to the whole idea that a lot of the support that these companies give at, say, Pride Month comes across as very performative when you get to the end of the month. Those particular, rainbow flags completely disappear, and they abandon the queer community 100%. But just to go back to how prevalent this is within the industry, I don't think I had forgotten that the same thing, well, not exactly the same thing, but very similar things had happened at Riot Games. And that was, I don't know, like a year ago, something like that. There's a whole thing that came out about that.
That was I don't want to say it was different or better or worse. I'm not comparing things, but it goes to show that it's not just women too, because that was actually a boss doing that frat boy mentality, like, gross as it sounds, like farting in people's faces, doing really disgusting like things that you do like to a college buddy or some hazing, essentially. So like there's even that going on. So this is going beyond just like, the horrible things happening to women. It's just like there's this mentality that you could just treat your employees like a frat boy that's trying to get into the club.
I will say, in the case of in the case of Blizzard, it does seem like a lot of it was aimed at women, and that there was an effort within the company to mistreat women and try and hold women and minorities back. There are claims of women within the company doing all the work while the male counterparts just sat and played video games all day. They would like shirk off their responsibilities onto the female employees, stopping female employees from being able to, get any kind of promotions or anything like that, even when a particular employee was performing way far better than her male counterpart. That male counterpart, because he was part of this culture, managed to get further along in the company. There was talk of African American employees working in like the ID department being micromanaged by their managers, unlike the people around them. There was talk of a pregnant woman up to the time that she was like excessively pregnant, not even being allowed to go into pee breaks, to the point where, and this is from Twitter, this was just like a personal account from Twitter, not necessarily from the actual document itself, but she basically told her story that she was that scared of going for pee breaks at that point that she ended up in the hospital from dehydration, just because of the culture that was surrounding and the mistreatment of women in these spaces. I was listening to Alana Pierce talking about this as well, who has worked not necessarily at Activision Blizzard, but in like tech giants, and she was saying she had like very similar treatment in similar places where people would try and force themselves on her, like work gatherings, or like take a shot from their mouth and force it into her mouth, or kiss her without her consent. And she went to HR, and the thing is like, you don't really have anyone to turn to in these instances. You could say, oh, go to HR, but in a lot of cases, either HR in the Activision Blizzard case could be involved
literally
in it.
In the room.
Yeah. Or alternatively, they're not there to protect the actual employees of the company. They're there to protect the company itself. Mm-hmm. They don't work for the employees. They work for the company. And it, in a lot of situations, it ends up that person being ousted as someone who is, told on the other people, and it can often get worse for them, or they can be forced out of the company because they're trying to make positive changes, and because nobody else is speaking out on this behavior, it's just a repetitive cycle that keeps going on and on until we get to this situation where there's a lawsuit, basically. It's ridiculous. She did say something that was quite interesting, though, that what caused this in the first place, and she tended to think that it was the kinds of people who are now in positions of power at these companies are the same kind of guys who never really had that much experience with women. The geeky guys who were probably like ousted and from like social situations, and now that they have a little bit of power, they feel like they can do anything without any kind of repercussions. Again, I'm inclined to agree with that. If you see the toxic mentality of gamers in general, and then apply that to, well, what happens when gamers are now the ones making the games at these companies, that's going to happen. Yeah.
And the sad thing is, you start to see that being played out in games as well, because the content they make, there's a reason why the games some games that come out that have kind of like very kind of like straight male gaze, for want of a better phrase, GAZE, in a sense, it's like, it's always kind of your side missions are always sort of like chasing after other females, or your side missions are doing sort of like slightly horrendous acts on stuff, and it's just it is written from that opinion, as if you pick the nerdy person out of the class when you were at school, and you suddenly thought, well, what if we put that person into a position of power that can actually write stuff? They're writing their own fantasies. They're living their own fantasies, and they've got the power behind them to do that.
It was about 11 years ago, and I think it was BlizzCon, that a woman got up and at the Q&A section with all like the top people who were working on World of Warcraft at the time, and she basically asked very reasonably, is like, is it possible in the future we'd be able to get female characters that didn't look like they walked out of a Victoria's Secret catalog? And the response of the entire panel of the people that were in charge of WoW was literally just to deride and laugh at this woman, and just make a joke out of it with everybody else in the room. It's like, well, what kind of catalog would you like them to walk out of? It's and just literally saying, just dismissing the whole idea of, maybe add a little bit more diversity, maybe don't have all women as objects in your games, as sexual objects for the male fantasy. But as soon as you start those kind of conversations within the industry, it turns into a whole Anita Sarkeesian situation where, oh, you're coming after me and trying to ruin my games, and there's so much pushback against that, even saying, oh, can we just get reflections of ourselves in video games? And it's the same with like queer representation in video games too. It's like, why are you pushing an agenda? That's, again, so prevalent in the toxic cultures of gaming. And when you see the people that are making the games have the same mindset, it's ridiculous. And of course, this was always going to happen. Like this boys' club that is video games, it's not going to change until people are held accountable. And if the people making the video games are the same way, how does that change?
Yeah,
how does that
absolutely.
change?
Yeah. I just think it's a mess. Sorry, Chadd, go on.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, and it's funny how you can look back on this and be like, oh my god, all this stuff happened. Oh my god, like how did it get this bad? But really, trends in life happen, and so if we want to really look back at like media in general, like TV, film, radio, all these things, it's these things happened before. There's a whole movement that happened a few years ago in the film industry. So it's like, do you not think that the next great medium, aka gaming, wouldn't have this as well? No, it's probably, if not worse, because it is so male centric. And finally, films finally had like women and queer representation and minorities just in general. Finally, just now in the 2000s, breaking into it. And it feels so weird to say that gaming, yeah, sure, there's some inclusion in like these smaller companies and things like that. Like I mentioned Dead by Daylight, there's inclusion there. But like, again, compared to a ActiBliz, yeah, it's non-existent almost.
Well, it's weird because that's a whole corporate structure upon itself that doesn't really care about people. I won't tell a lie. I have no love for Activision Blizzard. I have no love for that corporate structure that they've got over there. I have no love for the fact that Blizzard came out last year. I think they banned, 2 years ago, maybe, they banned that player for saying free Hong Kong in the
Blitzchung situation.
Yeah, the Blitzchung situation in the
yeah.
Overwatch Cup. So their morals are all over the place. And Bobby Kotick, I don't think he has any morals at all. This is someone who will completely gut out teams of people, fire up to 800 people at a time, and like rehire them with different roles, completely destroying people's livelihoods, all the while to cut costs for stocks, and to make their shareholders happy, while taking massive payouts themselves. It is absolutely corrupt, and I'm not surprised that their response to it at first was literally to say, "Oh, this is old and out of date, and none of this happens now. We've made so many positive changes." It still happened, and there has to be accountability for that.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do we want to move on? Because if we want to talk about donuts in the industry,
let's talk about donuts in the industry.
Let's talk about donuts in the industry.
The best link ever.
Yeah, Krispy Kreme. Yeah, there's a story that came out a couple of days ago. Krispy Kreme is collabing with Xbox. Basically, they're releasing some specialty Xbox-themed donuts, which is crazy. I don't know if you've seen them. Actually, like I might be able to get a picture up here real quick.
There's one on gaming.
Yeah, there is one on gaming.
But it is sort of it's something that's really, really cool. Obviously, we love a good collab. It's in aid, obviously, of Xbox 20. Let me just do that for you, Mia, now.
Oh, it's adorable. I just wanted to see it myself. Really, I went to go and see.
It's the reason it's obviously posed. It's literally just an X on top of the donut. But this is available in UK and Ireland, I think. I'm not
sad
sure.
face.
Oh, hey, Luke in the chat. I'm not sure whether it's a green filling. That would be the most important thing, obviously.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But I believe if you buy one, you get an opportunity to win an Xbox Series S and some stuff.
Mhm.
And the idea is obviously it's part of the Xbox 20 birthday celebration.
You know, Xbox is like, I grew up, and I'm not afraid to say it. I grew up a Sony stan. I was what they call them, a Sony pony. Like growing up, I didn't believe in the Xbox. I was like, this is not as good. Xbox is giving me only reasons to come back, especially with Game Pass.
Yeah.
And PlayStation and Sony, even despite it selling out, and I'm gonna say right here, they haven't given me a reason to want the PS5. So I'm so excited that Microsoft is doing something, especially with Krispy Kreme, because I don't know if they did this in the UK, but Krispy Kreme here to encourage people to get COVID vaccines, they were encouraging people to bring in their card. And you got a month free of donuts like on Monday. Like you got a free donut on Monday for like the month of,
I wish they did that here. God.
And maybe,
that's
like, I
amazing.
don't know.
Apparently, we're just starting. So we've actually had a really good uptake of the vaccine. We're I think as a country we're up to 70% or something.
I think like unfortunately America has to bribe people in order to
from the get-go. America's been organizing lotteries and giving away food, but we've just started in the UK.
I live in Michigan, and that was one of the first to do a lottery of like, if you get it, you're in, and you could win $1 million. Thank you.
Or you can just live.
Or like just like get the COVID vaccine because it's whatever.
But in the UK, I think that is in the news today that there's problems with getting young people to try and take up the vaccine.
Interesting.
And they're working with Uber Eats and a few other outlets, a cinema outlet, to start giving stuff away. So I think we've got to the point now where we're having to sort of bribe people as well. So it's not just an American thing.
Oh, thank God. It made me feel so bad, like thinking America was the problem child once again.
But...
Well, I wouldn't say that.
There's a reason we let you
go. I will say, like, not to get too far into politics, but I do feel like, Mr. Cheeto did so much damage over there.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem. Is you're trying to do the government's trying to do a good job with one hand tied behind the back. It's because it was tied there by the previous incumbent.
I think that's
Go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think that's a massive issue, like how the whole mask thing and vaccines have been politicized in general, making it another us versus them situation, which is awful. And that's spilled out onto, with everybody. Like it's here in the UK now as well. It's ridiculous. Like it shouldn't be a political thing to fight each other over trying to survive a pandemic.
I mean, I remember early on it was like it's either us or your grandmothers, because who needs old people? Like let them die. And I remember that conversation. I remember that being an actual conversation on the radio. I heard.
Yeah,
I'm literally one of those people who was at high risk because I have an immuno disorder. So I was literally inside from last March to this March. So yeah, but again, we're back at the point where people don't really care about that anymore. It's like I just never get to go out again, I guess. But anyway, donuts. It's funny you mentioned.
We went wow.
Xbox Game Pass, because you do, by entering into the competition, you get a 1 month of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with your entry. So that's fun. There's no information on what these donuts taste like though. So I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going to be doing a taste test of these at some point.
Well, they launch tomorrow.
They do. They launch tomorrow. I was hoping they would launch today. And then I'd just be able to eat one on the podcast, but it's not to be.
With the ultimate product placement.
Exactly.
Yeah, apparently they're not available in the cabinets in supermarkets, but unfortunately not. But you have to go down to kind of like an actual Krispy Kreme shop.
I've got an actual Krispy Kreme shop, so all these special promotional ones just disappear though. That's the only issue.
Oh, it's all limited edition.
Yeah, I mean, no, not that they disappear after a while. It's like on the day. If you go in the afternoon, they're gone.
Yes.
So,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I suppose they can't. I guess they can't cook off like loads, but
Stand
see.
in
We'll see what
line,
happens.
wait outside for hours, like it's the actual Xbox release.
For an Xbox donut. Did you pre-order your donut?
Oh, if they had
bought
there's
your
microtransactions for like donut holes.
Well, then you
Oh my
just find
God.
like well, then you just find they're constantly sold out, but loads of people are selling them on eBay.
Oh, there it is, and it's stale,
Oh,
but you're still
Lord,
like
yeah.
going to eat it.
That becomes part of the scalping issue, like
Exactly.
Xbox donuts. Oh God, I don't even want to think about it. Yeah.
Why do I low-key want that to be next headline? I don't. I mean, I just need something goofy enough to like get me through the day, like tomorrow.
So yeah, that's our that's the lighthearted news done.
That's specifically the bite-sized news.
Hey,
I love it.
let's move on. So, Chadd, it's time for your moment in the spotlight.
Oh my!
It's time to find out about you and the
it is
stuff that you do.
question time.
Yeah.
So, yes, you are the brand content producer for Checkpoint XP. Tell us about that. What is it, and what do you do there?
Yeah, so Checkpoint XP is the only radio product that is syndicated across the US, mostly, that is dedicated to video games and esports. So we do lots of reviews and talk about gaming, esports, in just like every capacity. And we have some exciting changes coming soon that I can't talk about, but very exciting changes coming soon that if any fans are wondering what's going on, they'll know soon. But yeah, but we do a lot of different like different things like on like the Checkpoint Daily podcast as well. So it's a daily podcast that myself and Robin was guested on at one point as well. And we would just talk about games, movies, any topic ever. Like we are literally the nerd centric culture that is anything you want to hear.
Is that hard to keep up with on the daily? Yeah.
I'll say yes, but there yes and no. It's funny because I feel like everything happens all at once. So we'll go in on Monday and obviously talk about what happened over the weekend and stuff like that. But then Tuesday will come and it's like, wow, there's nothing to talk about. Oh, this game came out. I guess we could talk about that. And then right after we, because it's daily, right after we talk about it and put out the podcast, something massive drops. And great. Now we look like we don't know what we're talking about because this massive thing happened today and it's not even talked about in the show. But it's just the nature of like when you do a product like that. So, but there are things that we learned that we have to focus on more so than others. So we try to learn from our audience what our audience likes, and like what and what we have energy from. So like we've been talking for literally the past week about the Blizzard thing. So it's stuff that you just can't avoid as well, because we're not afraid to talk about the truth on there. That's something that I think we take really seriously. We bring on a lot of LGBTQIA+. We bring in a lot of minority groups to talk about all the difficulties that it is to get into gaming, like we talked about earlier. So it is something that I don't think is talked about enough, and then we try to bring that in and bring as many like other voices outside of Checkpoint, because we don't want to talk inside of a bubble. We don't want to be like talking to ourselves and get ourselves hyped up and not listen to the outside world or other people who are in the industry. So we try to bring in as many other voices as we can as well. So but yeah, it's nice to have a product that we can do daily, because if it honestly keeps me on my toes. It keeps me as knowledgeable as I am in gaming, with within the right amount of sanity, I think.
So esports, it's obviously a humongous like behemoth of a thing, but there's very low LGBTQ representation. Why do you think that is?
Esports, much like what we talked about gaming earlier, there's lack of representation overall, and it's something that I think certain groups have tried to tackle. Like there's very few female esports players. There's very few minority esports players, unless they live in the country that they're competing in. But like US based, and even like I would say even like a lot of European based esports is still very white cis male, het cis male. The bro mentality there. You'll see all the street. Oh, kitty. Sorry, I got distracted.
That's okay. He was about to climb on the ring light again.
But yeah, so like it again, this is like, I think it's starting from that greater thing that is gaming, and then the next step is esports. So it's like, okay, well, once we solve gaming, maybe we could solve esports, which is it's a weird backwards way of thinking about it. But there are people who are doing some great strives, like it's not necessarily for LGBTQIA, but like there is the C9 White, which is the all-female Valorant team, which Annie Dro is actually openly trans on there. So like that is one great.
Oh yeah, Anne. I love Anne. Yeah,
Annie's
great. Yeah,
we've had her on the show multiple times and met her at TwitchCon. She's amazing. She actually went from Overwatch, where she kind of was like, we talked to her about Overwatch, then she moved over to Valorant, and like you could see the spark of joy that came from it, because you could tell that Overwatch was kind of like draining her from that kind of toxic like environment that it was from like the people that like were watching her streams, to like a little bit more, of she probably still gets the toxicity, but a little bit more support from this new game. So I think it's even harder to get into these old games like League of Legends. That's a 10+ year esport now. Imagine trying to even remotely get into that versus something like Valorant that has less than a year under its belt, that just started. You're more likely to see more representation of women, minorities, and LGBTQI+.
Well, that's a very good conversation. I mean, you touched on it there, but is there anything that you think the industry could be doing to promote LGBTQ representation? Do you feel like we need more action from like more of the bigger players in the esports industry?
I think one thing I'll say, this is going to sound interesting, because it's one thing as a journalist, and something that when we have guests on, we have players on, and I always dread having players on because they don't have, I don't want to say they don't have personality, because obviously they have personality, but they don't have that media training.
Are you saying that the esports is their only personality?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, well, the best esports players, in my opinion, have personalities to back it up. Like, it's like even that in basketball. If you think about the best basketball players, have the biggest personalities. You want to watch them because of that. Like, you get the hype behind it. So I feel like that's something that transcends into esports a little bit, and we don't see it quite as much. But I think one of the things that we need to like really do is like have these esports players learn media training so that they can be vocal about these things. They can be vocal and say it in a way that isn't just like yes, no, and or something like that. And so they can talk about how there needs to be inclusion and stuff like that, because they don't know how to talk. They don't know how to say these things. So it's tough to say like, oh yeah, well, do the players need to say anything? Well, if they could say anything in general, maybe. I'm being very general about it. There's plenty of great personalities out there, but especially the newer coming from college, I'm seeing that a lot more, that they don't know how to speak. But where the true factor that's going to come in here are going to come from two places. One, the developers of the game. So like Riot, I'm looking at you. Well, we're going to avoid the other one right now because we talked bad about them just a moment ago. And EA, even like with Apex, I would love to see them getting more involved with what they're doing with their games. So they really just need to step up and start talking and bringing in more LGBTQIA minorities and women. But the next one are the esports organizations themselves. I don't know. I mean, FaZe Clan gets ripped on tons because they feel like they're the frat bro mentality that we're seeing.
I can see them.
And they have issues, but nothing quite that I've seen that's as egregious as what we're seeing lately in gaming. But there are some, like Cloud9, doing a great job bringing in like women and LGBTQIA, like Outlaws from Overwatch. They actually had Muma, who is openly gay. And that's not dictated by Blizzard. That was dictated by the group who put together the Outlaws. So I think when we think about it that way, we have to really harp on these organizations that there needs to be this inclusion. There needs to be like more than just the boys club of esports. And I think that's when we'll start seeing things in. So hopefully if we get these new esports in, I'm hoping to see Valorant take off and it have like a whole women's league. And then eventually that turn into more of like everybody all in, because I see the benefits of having a women's league only versus putting them all in one, box. That's a whole different conversation, I'm sure.
Do you think that we need more like figureheads like Sonic Fox, for instance, who is openly queer and a furry, within like I think 5 times Evo champion now, something like that. Like, do you think we need more people like that, like just in esports in general?
Yeah, and that's where I mentioned the personality part of it. Like, we need those big personalities. I mean, like, I think Sonic Fox would have gotten as far if he wasn't like, that wide personality and like had that furry personality. That's debatable, but there aren't very many Sonic Foxes out there truly being like the forerunner of to bring queer esports to life. There's very few, or if there are those queer esports players, but they're just like, I just want to exist like every other esports player. Like, I think
like keep your head down so you don't stir too much trouble, I guess.
It's tough to ask someone, especially someone new or up and coming, to risk their entire career to be a cause. And I think that's the fear. And maybe there are going to be some of those people who will. I think you see it more in like the casting talent and like the reporters of esports, and because they're willing to take that risk, because they're nothing hinders on whether they win or have an audience and things like that. Where players do, like, they could get ousted from the team tomorrow, and their contract could, expire, and then they're not invited back, because it's a year by year basis typically, unless they get like multi-year contracts.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all develops for sure. So outside of Checkpoint, you also have the Chestery. Can you tell us about that?
So the Chestery is something I recently started. So it's fresh, just started in July, where I have a couple of my friends and I got together. We started a YouTube channel, very small, still growing it. I think we have like 17 subscribers right now. Like when I say small, it's small. Like, we just started, this my first foray even mentioning it, really. But we wanted to kind of break down more of the review process, because I feel like a lot of YouTube and just reviews in general get very samey. They get like, oh, well, we liked it because of A, B, and C. Done. All right. Well, okay, cool. But I think first impressions and, the personality behind the reviews are really what's important. Like, if I like it versus, one of my friends liking it, like that's going to have more impact than saying like IGN rates it a 9. In my personal opinion, like, I rather know like what Asmongold thinks of Final Fantasy 14 versus just Joe Schmo who reviews every game ever and who doesn't really love MMORPGs. So that's kind of the idea of what the Chestery is, and I'm hoping moving forward it would be a little bit bigger and more than just us three in it, and building upon that in a much more collaborative way. So that's the overall goal, at least.
I actually watched a couple of the videos, and I loved like the rapport that you have between you. It's literally like you're sitting down with friends and just playing the game and explaining it to each other like you've never seen it before. Especially like I started watching the first 34 Christ Tales, as we were talking about, and I thought this is a really cool concept. Can you explain that concept to the audience and tell us how that came about?
Sure. So the first 30 it's two things. It's a video where we play the first 30 minutes of all these different games, and it's just the first impression. Like, we have a timer, a set timer, so we hit 30 minutes, and at the end we don't know what's going to happen after that, ideally. And then beyond that, there's a podcast where we discuss like what we thought, like all our like how it presents itself, the gameplay and things like that. So if you want to learn more about like what we truly thought beyond just the gameplay and what you saw there, and like maybe comparisons or like recommendations that we would have if you like this type of genre that may be better or similar to it. And so that's what it is. And one of my goals with this was to have it so that way, if you just want to listen to the podcast, you're not missing out on the video necessarily. But if you just want to watch the video, you're not necessarily missing out on the podcast. And if you get both, then you're getting like, it's like reading Harry Potter versus watching the movie. Like that's how I wanted it. Like you're not missing anything if you do one or the other, but like having the knowledge of both is great. And so that's really where First 30 came from. And I'm excited to finally get it out of my head into fruition.
I think it's a really cool concept. I think it's a great way of sort of, I think as someone who's very guilty of, as I said earlier, about sort of picking up a game, like playing with it a little bit and then just throwing it away. Like, I think the idea of kind of like having that first 30 minutes is really kind of core to kind of grab me and sort of say, right, stay with me, stay playing this game. So I think the first 30 minutes actually is a really clever way of assessing something.
Thank you. Yeah, we've had, I don't want to say issues, but like there have been times where it's like, man, I know if we had like 5 more minutes that we'd have a much better understanding, but that's not the point of the show. We have to stop right at 30 minutes. But yeah, it's been fun. I highly recommend anyone who wants to listen to a review podcast. I'll do my quick plug real quick. It's First 30 video game reviews. It's so new, you have to type it out before it won't pop up easily on because the algorithm. But yeah, so if you want to watch that, or it's on the Chestery, Chestery YouTube. Again, it's so new, it's hard to find, so you have to type it all out.
Yeah, I just tried searching for it to try and drop a link in, but I'm afraid
let me see if I could do it.
I didn't have time to sort of pull that together because it wasn't coming up as an immediate search because it's so new. But hopefully,
that's the thing.
Hopefully, very soon it will get itself in order. And I think lastly, of course, with all of this, you also stream with your boyfriend, I believe.
So we have our like he's part of the Chestery-ish. Like he comes in when he wants to. Like he like only in games that he's interested in. But yeah, me and my boyfriend Kiefer, we stream under what we called our collab name as Luna Lacat, because my original stream name was Lunar Titan and his was Kiefer Cat. So we were like, let's find a cute way to include those two that is not taken by Twitch. And so that was been our thing. So yeah, we stream a lot of like horror games, new games that we find fun, Phasmophobia. Like he's like rank 1 in Dead by Daylight, so he's obviously much better at player than me, so he carries us a lot. So if you like watching people getting carried, we're the couple for you.
Heck yeah. I just want to quickly apologize. I don't know if you can hear the cat going crazy in the background.
I was trying to be professional and brush over it, but
he has.
It appears that
Mochi's
having a moment. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, like absolutely. Let's change tact. Let's change course a little bit. Sorry. Just generally about streaming, since you stream and you're queer and you have that experience.
Yeah.
What would you say to any other LGBTQI plus person who was thinking of getting into streaming, started streaming, doing that? Like, were there any challenges that you had to overcome that you'd like to give information to anybody new?
I guess it would allude to the conversation we had earlier about the comment that that comment or like a comment that you might get over and over again. And sometimes there is that like feedback that you get and you're like, okay, maybe I do need to assess something, but that's very few and far between. So I guess I hate saying that you have a thick skin and over it, but there's an element of truth to that. Like you're going to find these people, but don't be afraid to ban people. Don't be afraid to say no. If something affects you, get them out. The toxicity, it's your channel, I guess is what I want to say. It's your channel. It's your choice to do whatever to those people who are viewing. It's not for them to come in and trash on your community, what you're doing, what you're playing, how many viewers you have. That's another one I see a lot. It's like, oh, you're only streaming to 2 people. No, ban them. Bye. You don't need that negativity. And the next thing is find a good mod. Like you just need one or two people who you truly trust, who have your back. And sometimes I have like one of my favorite mods, Simming Koala, shout out to you. She's so quick, I don't even see it. It doesn't even register to me because she's like, nope, done, gone. And so those are two things. And I guess actually one last thing, and this is more of a marketing thing because I have my marketing brain on, is TikTok. Start a TikTok, start your personality brand there, and build it over into Twitch. I've seen so many people make it big, like just go from nothing to like hundreds of viewers, just because their personality on TikTok took off. They started doing some live streams on TikTok, which led to people coming to their Twitch. So those three things I think is in a nutshell my best tips.
That's dope. I feel like I need advice on TikTok because as a 32-year-old, I just look at that and I'm like,
I think everyone looks at it like that. I think everyone's stuck in this mindset that like this is a Gen Z platform, but you go. I don't know if anyone scrolls on it who's on here, but like if you go on there and the algorithm learns you start seeing people your age. You start seeing people like even older and things like that. There's one streamer who I love, and I want to say her name is Streaming Grandma. I think that's what her Twitch name is. And she plays Call of Duty, and she's so good, it's sickening. And people love it because she's clearly, a grandma. She doesn't look like young for her age or anything. She's like just a typical grandma playing Call of Duty and wrecking people, and it's fantastic. And that's the stuff that's on TikTok, and she gets tons of views because of that. And because one, there's a shock value to seeing grandma playing Call of Duty, but I think that's the first step, is getting over that idea of like it's a Gen Z platform, they're gonna talk crap. It's actually more it's the least toxic environment I've personally been in. So if that's your worry, just start it.
Okay, cool.
We talked obviously a lot about the future you have for sort of work and stuff, but where do you see your stream going? What does the future hold for your stream?
For the stream, I think I just do streaming for like the hobby part of it. And what I really hope is that like with what I'm doing with the Chestery turns into not just what I'm doing, but it's what I want to do with, smaller / medium streamers, and really grow not just the Chestery brand, but their brand alongside it. Like, I've started like a collaboration group in a Discord. It's just people I know that I can, I believe have potential. But I want to grow that even more. I want to have like hundreds, if not thousands, of people that I think could be the next big, something that I see personally and are consistent and are putting out great content, are not toxic and good to their community and things like that. Like have these like levels that I know for sure that, make a good streamer in my eyes, and like what I think could be built, and help build that, help spread that, because there's no discoverability on Twitch. Zero, none. So if there's anything I could do to, grow my brand and their brands at the same time, like we only both gain from that, in my opinion. So I'm still working on some kinks to figure out what the next step is and how it is. But if anyone's interested, they could DM me on my Twitter. So I'd be interested in chatting with anybody and everybody about whether they'd want to join the collaboration cause.
Cool. Well, as always, we finish with our quick fire questions.
Yeah, this is more of a relaxing kind of. Don't be scared. This is quite relaxed. Essentially, it's I wouldn't say stream of consciousness, but whatever comes to mind first, you answer. Short and succinct answers, but don't worry too much about it. You don't have to be stressed about this. But we will be interrogating you. And
I'll turn up my light so it looks like
exactly. I play the good cop and Robin's the bad cop. So okay, but we'll get this started. What's been your favorite game this year?
This year, I would say Death Store.
Okay, that's the bird one, right? Isn't
yeah,
it?
the little Grim Reaper bird. Love it. Like it won me over. It's adorable.
What was the most memorable game from your childhood?
I would say I'm only gonna say Resident Evil because the part where the arms come out from the side scarred me when I watched my cousins play it. So that still sticks right here. So that's the most memorable game.
Oh yeah. Who's your favorite video game character?
Video game character. I have a soft spot for Dante. It's from Devil May Cry. It when I say soft spot, it may be H word. I don't know. I just really love Dante. I don't know. I made a TikTok about it.
Soft spot
actually,
or hard spot?
Oh god,
both,
I thought it. I wasn't gonna go there, but
I wasn't sure how far I could say stuff. Like I was like testing the waters when I said H word. But yeah, Dante, 100%.
I've completely lost the plot. What game do you most want a sequel to?
A sequel? I want to see. I don't know if it's a sequel, but I'd love to see like a bigger expansion of Minecraft. Like I love Minecraft, and they're constantly doing it, but I feel like they could do something big with
Minecraft
it.
2.
A Minecraft 2, and I don't know what it would be, but I think
the Return of the Blocks.
Yeah, the Return of the
Minecraft.
Blocks. There you go. Yeah, Super Minecraft.
Who would be your dream podcast guest? Like, if you could have anybody on, living or dead, who would that be?
Okay. A dream podcast guest, just for the sake of talking to this person.
You can't say me because you already had that.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Okay, I gotta rethink my answer now. Oh man. Okay, this is gonna sound weird because it has nothing to do with gaming, but Lucille Ball. She is my hero through and through. She's a ball buster, lover. If I just had a moment to just pick her brain for like 5-10 minutes, I think I would die happy, like right then and there. That's all I need in life. She's just an inspiration if you ever look into her whole story.
And one of the original reasons that Star Trek started as well.
Way back when. She's the reason why we have syndication in general. Yeah, so crazy.
What game are you most looking forward to coming out?
Back 4 Blood. I'm dying. Oh, I see Mia's excited.
Yeah. That beta soon. We've got to jump into it.
Was it like 4 days away? Like
I think yeah, it's in the next couple of days or so. It's going to be super cool.
I'm just saying, look out for a lot of Back 4 Blood content on the Chestery. That's all I'm gonna say because I'm stoked for that game. I can't wait.
I'm gonna push this aside for a second. Were you a massive like Left 4 Dead fan?
I was, but the problem with Left 4 Dead is that like, and I was just talking about this today with my friends, is it's so, as much as they tried to make it random generated, and there are like some map changes that happen randomly, it just felt like samey. Like you could only play it so many times. Like it's not like it's something I'm gonna play like Dead by Daylight where it's like, I can play it every day and it feels different, because the players. This seems like it is exactly what Left 4 Dead needed to be a constant, like you don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea what kind of craziness is going to happen. I hope it's at the hype level that's in my head.
Hopefully. If you were marooned on an island, this is a special question, by the way. If you're marooned on an island, it's a special island.
It's a very high-tech island.
Yeah. What 3 games would you want to have with you? You can use these games on the internet, but you can't call for help.
Okay. All right. You know what? I'm going to throw Minecraft in there. It is the comfort
solid
game
choice.
of choice. Solid hours, no matter what. I could build my special island. I'm going to throw Dead by Daylight in there. And then I feel like I want an RPG. So I'm going to, you know what? Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's dope.
Which game has the best soundtrack?
This is a hard one. You know what? I'm gonna do a cop out. Guitar Hero.
That is a cop out. I was hoping you were gonna say something with an Uematsu soundtrack then, since you said Final Fantasy VII. But yeah.
Sorry, I can't. There's too many games that I like.
Well, give us a rundown. Give us a couple. What would those
actually
be?
Recently, Death's Door and Cris Tales both had great music in there, and obviously I'm a huge fan of like the Final Fantasy. Like every Final Fantasy game has gorgeous music, but it's like the orchestral thing, and it's not like something you're gonna listen to on a day-to-day basis though. So like, but they all have such great music. Final Fantasy 14 also has really great music. So like, it's tough. JRPGs in general tend to have like the best music of all time. So I'm gonna give it to that genre really, because I can't. Like I still sing like the Chocobo theme song in my head when I'm driving. So like, come on, like those stick in your head. That's got to be the best soundtrack.
That is like it's a legitimate answer. Yeah, that's fantastic. This next one, feel free to take your time on, because this is the last quick fire question. Where can people find your content, and what have you got coming up on the channel?
Well, if you want to follow us at The Chestery, you can find us at The Chestery on TikTok and Instagram, or Chestery Games on Twitter. And if you just look up The Chestery on YouTube, hopefully you'll find it. Again, it's so new, it's hard to find. So just look us up. Or you can look up First 30, The Chestery, maybe that'll come up. Or if you want to listen to the podcast, like I said before, it's First 30 Video Game Reviews. And yeah, if you want to find me personally, I'm at officially Chadd with 2 D's, just a little to make it more difficult for you guys. And yeah, you can talk to me on Twitter. I'm always talking with people on Twitter constantly.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Chadd, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute thanks. Finish my sentence. Absolute pleasure having you with us today. It's so nice to see different perspectives, especially when it comes to stuff like the esports side of things, and just like you've got so many projects on the go too. It's like really exciting to see what you get up to coming up. I did want to say thank you everybody for joining us on this episode of the Gaming Podcast Live. We will be back in 2 weeks' time with our next Gaming Podcast Live DigiPride special.
Absolutely. And it promises to be a doozy, which I can't talk about right now because it's related to the thing that we're doing in the middle of August. So, yeah, that's fun. But no, news will be breaking, I hope, this week. If you want to listen to any of these episodes, the Gaming Podcast Live is also available on all good platforms.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this podcast on those platforms and you want to watch the recordings live, you can head over to twitch.tv/gamingmag, that's gaming mag with a Y, and hit that follow button, just like everybody else here watching is just about to do, hitting that follow button.
Follow.
Yep, that's been Robin. I've been Meabyte. You can find my stuff at twitch.tv/Meabyte. I've got my stream anniversary coming up on Wednesday. I'll be opening up a pre-release pack of Final Fantasy trading card game stuff with Daddy Xenos on there. But yeah, we've got a crazy amount of cool stuff coming up on my channel. But if you want to stay tuned to gaming, go to the website. Make sure you go to gamingmagazine.com, read up all the articles, and keep reading. And until next time, we will see you soon.
Yeah.
Bye for now, all.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.